Hi, I'm Dan Thompson, and thanks for joining me in this condensed webinar on utilizing category statistics to increase student self-awareness and guide exam preparation. So in today's session, I'm going to talk about three main points as listed here in the objectives. First and foremost, we're going to talk about category mapping, what it is and how to use it, and primarily how to use it in a way that we can give student feedback and valuable feedback, which is obviously important. I also just want to talk about the value of category mapping and how we can use that not just to give feedback but to guide student success with that feedback. And then finally I'll talk about how you can create a categorization process at your institution that is conducive for, stealing the term from the title there, improving student self-awareness and outcomes. So obviously as educators, that's our goal is to always improve student outcomes, and in this process what we're going to do is identify student strengths and weaknesses by categorizing items and then giving the students the feedback on their performance as a way not just to say, hey, this is what you got an 85 on the exam, but really to break down the exam even beyond that so they can see what their specific areas of strengths or weakness are. So for those of you new to ExamSoft or categories, I'm just going to briefly go over in the next couple slides on what categories are. If you are a category pro, fast forward maybe 90 to 120 seconds and you should get through this part. But very briefly, with ExamSoft you can actually categorize or tag each question into categories that allows you to identify specific information. So the list I have here, subject matter, difficulty level. In this situation, we're talking about specific content areas. One thing to note there that you can have an unlimited number of categories per item. We have some items in our system where we have a dozen or more categories that one question can be tagged to. And then you can run stats based on each category to learn the desired information. In this specific case, I'm going to be talking about how to run that specific student data to then send over to students so they can identify their strengths and weaknesses. And then I'll talk a little bit about our process and how we support that beyond just the student self-awareness part. So when you categorize questions, it's pretty easy. You can do it when the question's being created. So if you manually enter your questions, you can, on the left side of the screen, you can find the area there to add and remove categories. So you can do that then. You can also do it when you import questions. We like to here always have the categories pre-made, which just allows the question creators to simply click and add the categories after the fact. If you have questions that are already in the system, you can most certainly go back and categorize them retroactively. So you don't have to, even if you have years worth of questions that you want to look at some longitudinal data on, that's not a big deal at all. You can go back, make new categories, and categorize those items if need be. And then you can again run the stats retroactively as well. If you're again looking at the past to see what you've done that has created student success at your institution. And then if needed, categories can work as a folder structure. We already have the questions and the assessment folders. Categories are just another folder that you can use as a way to identify questions by however you want, content, difficulty level, by course, whatever it is at your institution that works best for you. So for our category mapping program, I'm just going to go over the logistics really quick, and then I'll kind of go over the reporting and how we use that. So categorizing exam items has to be done by faculty and or instructional design staff. So in our area, I'm a member of the instructional design staff, so we're the ones that go in and create the actual category structure. So we have a centralized process here. We're very fortunate to have the folks that we do in our office that can create that category structure that's in place. So when faculty members do go to categorize, they aren't in there creating new categories. They're just adding categories to exam items. So one nice thing for us here is that content experts aren't needed for this part of the program, and I'll get into the next couple slides exactly how we categorize these items on our exams, but they're not needed for this part because our class sessions are already identified by the large content areas, and that's really what we're categorizing by, or just the larger content areas. We don't really drill down to the specifics for this process, just because you can get a little too nuanced with your categorizing. If you have a category that only has 2 or 3 items in it, it doesn't really give you a great statistical picture. This way, we do the larger content areas. It does give students something that they can, some actual data that they can use to go review their performance and then streamline their studying. So category stats are then sent to faculty and students by instructional design staff as soon as the course exam is complete. We really try to do this same day. So we'll have the exam is completed, we'll go through the exam stats as far as the statistics on how the questions performed, and then once that's all decisions are made on the exam, then we'll actually go back in and send the category reports. And when I say send the category reports, we just do that with ExamSoft through release exam taker results. So it's a really quick process. We can do it same day. All the students get their specific report just through one mass email, and then so it's a big time saver on us. But it's a really big help in getting all information to students in a very quick manner. So when I was saying at our school that we do it by large content area, we're a systems-based curriculum. So within each system, so we're talking what cardiovascular system or respiratory system, your body systems. Within each system, we categorize by the big content areas. So for medicine, we're looking at pharmacology, pathology, histology. So when I say large content areas, that's what we look at. And since each one of our exams in our systems is made up of 3 to 6 of these different areas, we're really able to give the students some more. It's more nuanced that we can break it down into fifths of the exam or sixths of the exam, so they can see their performance more specifically. But it's still enough data. The categories have enough items in it. They really can start to see some trends in their performance. So, and that's that middle note is really the main point here, is that we did this to provide students more specific feedback on their exam performance. So the best example I can give with this is I think when you're a student and you got an exam back and you got an 85%, and that's a mid-B, and say you're happy with a mid-B. Unfortunately, in my academic career, I was happy with that mid-B, so much to my counselors and probably parents' dismay. But we can give them more information than just that. So let's say hidden in that 85% is the fact that you did really well on the pharmacology questions. You got 98% of those correct, but you only got 64% of the histology questions. Well, previously the students just saw that 85 and they were okay with that. Now they might see, I only got 64% on histology questions, so I'm pretty solid on pharm. I just about aced that section. I'm struggling in histology, obviously, because I didn't do so great. So now they know to go back and look at those histology questions, or the histology content moving forward, and really try to improve and retain the information there better going forward, so they're prepared for whether it's their next exam, their next course, even their next lecture or lesson within the current course. So it helps them identify those weaknesses and address them. So this was just something that we noticed from our new exam structure, that we could give them new exam result information. That it was a way just to give students the information they needed so they could prepare, and obviously not, I just mentioned the courses and the exams, but also eventually in preparing for the boards. So I mentioned in the previous slide, I kind of already jumped onto that first note there, that we do the primary content matter. And then I actually already did this whole slide. We also talk about how we review with the stats with the course faculty, and then we release things, the results via ExamSoft. One note I didn't get to, though, is that bottom one. We do recommend that to use the send with email option, so students all get an email to their inbox with the link to the portal, so that they can easily click on that, and it has quick instructions in there. It's even when we have students into the second year, that it's just easier for them to get that email with the link and go and find it, as opposed to us sending out an email saying go to ExamSoft, or posting it without the email to where it just goes to the portal, because the students are going to have to know to look for it. And while we do send these stats out consistently, it just makes it easier for everyone involved, that email, that you use the send with email option. So moving forward in our institution each student also has a faculty advisor, and we send those results to their faculty advisor as well. So the students and advisors then can create some action plan based on these stats. So if the student isn't proactive about looking at their stats and seeing where they can improve, we do address that through their faculty advisor. So the advisor can obviously make some action plan with the students, which is really valuable. Obviously both the faculty and students have their time is at a premium. So by getting that information to as many folks involved in the process, just make sure that we don't have anything slip through the cracks for each student. And in our current situation, they have discretion on how this information is utilized. Sometimes they will come back to our department and ask for best practices in addressing in certain areas of student deficiencies. However, the faculty is the content expert, so in our area we can't provide any further information on content. So the results of when we initially did this, we actually started for at-risk students. And when we started to send this information out, it was just to advisors on at-risk students. And then more and more students started to get word that we could provide this information. And so then it became so widely asked for by students that that's when it became just a standard procedure for us. So it was really the students that request and demand from the students that made this something that has been something we do class-wide. And when there are situations when, let's say, we're a day late sending them out, we do start to see some emails from students requesting the data. So once they get used to, after a couple exams, seeing it, they really look forward to seeing it as often as possible. So I got the bottom notes there. It's been really overwhelmingly positive, this process. Students do have indicated to us that they do rely on this information just to help prepare for future exams. So they like to see the specific areas where they're doing really well and what they can do better. And it's something that really helps guide their study and just helps them be more self-aware of what they need to clean up. And not only do we have students indicate that it's helpful in preparing for future exams, but we do have some really raw data that we're looking at right now. And this is from the last couple of years where and comparing the performance on specific content areas from Exam 1 to Exam 2 in given courses. So in 2015, we had not yet started this process, so category results weren't provided. 2016, when we did start this process, we started to see in specific areas that students were starting to, where in 2015 on farm items, their scores actually went down from Exam 1 to Exam 2. Same with physiology and types of questions we call clinical problem solving. And in all four of the examples I have here, you can see in the numbers there that student performance went up more once we started to give students feedback in those content areas. So we were really happy to see that. And so we always like to look at the stats here. And so being able to back it up with stats and say, yes, students are using this information, they like it, but also we can have some stats saying it actually is helping improve their performance. So not only are they aware, which is a big part of it, but they're utilizing that information along with their faculty advisors to make study plans that are obviously working for them. So moving forward from where we are right now, we just have three basic goals that we want to continue to improve upon, and one is to include these items in course evaluations and post-course focus group discussions, because we really want to see not just if students are utilizing it, but how they are, just to see if there's better ways that we can get the stats to them or more stats that they would like to get, just to learn more about what we're doing and how we can do it better. We'd like to look at the category content information and board results. When we get our board results, we do get to see it by content area, so we just want to focus in on that to make sure that we're preparing students appropriately, and also when we can, we just want to be able to provide more information for students. We don't want to get to a point where it's information overload. Again, we do know that their time is at a premium, and they very quickly have to get ready to move on to the next class session, semester, whatever it might be. So, but we do, and that's why we do strive to get this back to them in a timely fashion. But if we can provide them more information without overwhelming them, we do want to identify that and start to include that as well. So that's what I have in this brief webinar today on trying to help students become more self-aware by giving them specific exam feedback. If you have any questions, please contact me at the information on your screen there. And thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.